What's up, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of Skull Talk. We got a lot of stuff lined up for today. We got a lot of close-ups and a lot of back-away. You guys are funny. Let's start at the top, the tippy. One thing we need to talk about straight away is X-Transbots redesigning their Motormaster. Now, for those that don't know, we saw this information pop up on the message boards. The trailer has been redesigned. They scaled down the trailer to 36 centimeters, which is about 14¼ inches, which puts it right about on par with MP10's trailer. And it will make up the torso and limbs and base mode. The new trailer will hold the cars inside, and then they said fake part minimized to almost none now, better for playabilities. Research tons of angles for combine mode, superposable, more surprises are coming. Now, this has been a point of contention regarding this particular set since the beginning. When I looked at the arms on this thing, I was like, how did they do that? And then it came out that they were going to be doing casings for the arms. So it was going to be basically a faux arm. I mean, the bot would be there, but it'd be like a faux shield that went on top, perhaps. Which ultimately doesn't bother me, but I know people feel a way about it. Well, people pick and choose how they feel in regard to price points, so maybe they would have let this one go. But overall, a lot of people tend to have a lot of issues with that. I think there was a possibility that the trailer was going to be sold separately too. I'm not exactly sure what's come of that. This is also X-Transbots' first take at a combiner. I think we need to take that into account. There's just as many reasons to be nervous about this release as there are about the releases of both DX9 and Fans Toys because it's just uncharted territory. And the wavering and shaking makes me feel uncomfortable. Now, this particular Menasor was never going to be big enough to be my Menasor in the first place, so ultimately it doesn't bother me, and I'm loving the way that the bots are shaping up independently. However, I know a lot of people are counting on this for their Menasor, and I think there's enough reason with this to cause concern. But in the same breath, it should also be noted that at least they're recognizing potential issues and fixing it ahead of time. No second release with problems fixed or anything of that nature, crossing our fingers so far. I should have Dead End very soon and hopefully Drag Strip as well, so it will continue. And now, let's head on over to Crashbox Customs and learn something.
Here we go.
What's up, everybody? Chris from Crashbox here. Welcome back to the Crashbox studio. Still a mess, still don't care. Today, we're going to talk about adding texture to your foam material before you paint it. There's several ways to get texture onto foam. The one I prefer is aluminum foil. So you take your aluminum foil and you make shapes. So there's a couple round ones. This one's a little longer. The other cool thing I like to use are lava rocks. You can pick these up at a home goods store or your neighbor's yard. Don't get arrested. What we're going to do is show you a plain piece of foam. And on that foam, we're going to use one of our balls here. And we're just going to work that all over the panel here, okay? Work it in real good. You can roll it, you can stab it. You can't go wrong here. It's the Bob Ross of texturizing. Once you got that done, you can put some paint on it and you can see the texture start to come to life. For comparison's sake, here's a black piece with no texture. The real magic is when you dry brush, like I showed you last time, you get some real deep textures. So you can go from just a plain piece of foam to something that looks really cool with a couple colors added to it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Thanks, Chris. Hasbro's back in the news this month with a couple of interesting things. For one, they've rebranded their entertainment company, both in terms of production and distribution, to that of AllSpark, which does show more of a commitment into one of their own brands. I've been preaching that here for a long time, that Hasbro should be showing the same commitment to their own brands that they're showing to licensed brands that they're held to a standard with. They should be keeping that same standard with their own material. We should be seeing high-quality Transformers, high-quality G.I. Joe, and high-quality My Little Pony, I suppose. So they're working on Zoids, Transformers Cyberverse Season 2, and the final season of My Little Pony, which I'm sure my oldest daughter will appreciate. I hope that it's successful. I've been saying for a long time that I think Hasbro needs to focus on strong fictional works that their fan base can sink their teeth into while still being enjoyable for children to support the brands of toys they're trying to produce. And it seems as though they have been getting some support. They reported good earnings at their quarterly shareholders meeting with a 2% increase overall. Some of this stuff gets a little technical for me and out of my wheelhouse in terms of expertise, but it seems like a lot of the stuff that's making a lot of money for them, Magic the Gathering, Monopoly, Twister, Connect 4, they saw an increase in a lot of those revenues, and they don't focus on the decrease or what they have lost in, but it seems like Transformers were profitable for them. I'm sure that's coming off of the heels of Bumblebee, which came out in December, leading into a marketing campaign for Transformers in the beginning of the first quarter, which would have done well for them. So it seems like they're off to a good start. And I think their products have gotten better over the past couple years specifically, so I'm hoping that this is a sign of reaping the rewards of the effort that you put in. And although my feathers aren't ruffled today, let's go ahead and look at something pretty.
Now these are the toys Bobby bought in the month of April. Fans Toys Road King, Revoltech Gambit, Marvel Legends Mystique and Professor X, Black Series Jump Trooper, and SH Figuarts Blanca. All of the reviews are available on the Nerd Rage Radio Patreon, link in the description. It's my job to pick which is the best looking figure of the month, and the winner is... So this isn't easy this month. Really, these figures all look really good, even the Marvel Legends. I think I'm gonna go with the Fans Toys, just because I feel like it really is awesome.
You know what it might be for me?
What?
It might be the Gambit. Even though, like, if you saw the Patreon video of my review of it, like, I hate this figure. I really, really hate it.
Yeah.
But once you have it posed, it's magnificent.
I mean, Cap looks great. I have the same complaint about him that I have about several of the other characters. I feel like it looks like Cap's been like on the beach for a week getting a tan. I don't feel like he's that tan in the movie, but that has been my complaint with other Hot Toys, I believe I told you.
And well, thank you. And we'll be right back after these messages. So there it is. And you might disagree, but she's right and you're wrong. Dim the rules. So one of the things that I often crack jokes about on this channel are DTOFs. But what I do think looks great in them are 1/6 figures. Hot Toys or 1/6 statues have a tendency to look fantastic in them. They're spaced perfectly for them as if they were designed with that specific intention. As my Hot Toys collection has grown, I've learned that I've needed to expand in order to give each of the pieces enough shine within their selective cases to give them the right amount of exposure. In order to do so, I've had to buy more DTOFs, I've had to buy more Mojos, I think they're called, and space out my growing DC and Marvel collections, as well as trying to make my Star Wars collection fit in any of my allotted places. So in this episode's installment of Puree Display, we're going to take a look at some of my Hot Toys changes. So my Hot Toys collection for Star Wars pretty much remains the same in the main room. We had the original trilogy up top, with the sequel trilogy on the second row, the prequel trilogy on the third row, along with a Gentle Giant statue, and then some kind of spillover on the bottom row because I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to play out. So nothing really has changed here. More so, what has changed is the stuff in the studio room. So the layout of my DC stuff has changed, with a lot more Nolanverse being added, thanks to a friend of mine, Mike, who gave me a pretty good deal on a lot of the pieces that I was missing. Also, I've moved the DCEU stuff down to the bottom because what I intend to do is eventually put it over on this side. Now, what's occupying this side right now is kind of my B-list Marvel team. We have Punisher, we have Daredevil, we have Scarlet Witch, and then we have Deadpool with one of the few KOs in my collection, a Crazy Toys Hugh Jackman Wolverine that my buddy got for me as a joke because I'm not crazy about Hugh Jackman as that character. Now, that's become somewhat of a thing as another buddy of mine decided to buy me another KO Hugh Jackman Wolverine that I've since put in Tarkin's chair. To close it up, I have my Star Wars now doubled because the space was not going to allow for the amount of Star Wars stuff that I plan on getting from now into the future. So that space is now doubled as well. My DC area will eventually take up this entire wall, whereas my Marvel stuff will be split between the two cases that the DC figures now occupy, and the space between my Marvel Legends, which will now present a little bit of diversity in both scale, furniture, and aesthetics between the comic book and the movie verse stuff. And as you can see, this is a lot more close to finish, but still has some room for aggressive expansion. And now for some dino news.
Oh, hey guys, I'm excavating. Hope you can dig it. Did you know that when Velociraptor was found, it was way smaller than the one that was in Jurassic Park? But since then, they found Dakotaraptor that's pretty much spot on for the exact size of the animal that's in the movies.
For our last segment for today, we're going to talk about Maas Toys. Now, they've come up a few times over sit-down Saturdays in the past, and we've had to discuss certain elements as to their business dealings, the controversy surrounding them and Make Toys. We even had Spence on sit-down Saturday to discuss his side of the story, and I offered it to Make Toys as well. They declined. So this report came out from Toy Wizard. Let's take a minute and look at it. They said, according to sources of which they do not name, I think we should take note of, Maas Toys will be closing its doors. While they remained optimistic for a while, Maas Toys ultimately admitted things had been tough financially for a while and production was going slower than they wished. But now it's all but confirmed that Maas Toys is dead. They've admitted that crowdfunding for their upcoming projects is all used up. Maas Toys is citing a factory mishap, and anything they hope to have produced isn't completely unfeasible in the near future. In fact, the numbers they are projecting is more like 1 to 3 years away, if at all. At this time, Big Bad Toy Store has canceled all Maas Toys pre-orders and customers are attempting to get refunds. So I plan on reaching back out to Spence over the course of the next month and setting up some sort of talk to get to the bottom of this. I'm bummed to hear about it. I think that it's been rocky. It's been evident that it's been rocky. We've tried to cover as much of that here as we could. I hope that everybody gets refunded and all the money allocates back to the people first and foremost. I hope all that sorts out. I'm bummed because I know that my buddy Cody was going to do the artwork for their pipes for the box art, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen, so he kind of gets to, has to miss out on that opportunity, which is a bummer. There's a lot of fan service kind of stuff that Maas Toys was doing regarding reviewers and artists within the community, and I am bummed to hear about this if it is indeed true. However, money's not a thing to play around with, and when there's a lot of money on the line and business dealings are going south and people have their money invested in it, like at some point, if that house is made of glass and or cards, it will collapse. Once again, I'm not sure that that's the situation. I'm not sure who the sources are, but the canceling of the pre-orders at BBTS is more telling to me than anything necessarily written in this article. So in Skull Talk fashion, I reached out to you guys to find out what your opinions were. Let's have a listen.
I think it's a shame. There's a lot of other parts of Transformers mythology that I don't think it's going to be covered by the major third-party companies right now, or Hasbro. So it was nice for this other company to fill in some of these holes. But I don't see any value in one of these companies going down.
I've seen talks about shady dealings with him. I don't know what's true with that, but at least talking to the man, he seemed like this was a passion project to him, and this was something that he was really enthusiastic about. And the company was really good about communication as well. So it seems like when all that started to fall off is when they really started to have problems. They stopped communicating and sending out emails. They stopped posting updates. Spence swore off TFW altogether, and you don't see anything from them now. So we don't know where they stand. So all this conjecture kind of spins out of control. But the news that we do hear isn't good. So I don't know. I don't know who does except him.
The one thing I have to say about Maas Toys is I feel terrible for the people that invested in them and aren't going to get anything in return for it. Worse than that, they're not going to get their money back, and they should. And the people behind Maas Toys should give them their money back. It does not matter if the money was spent on anything and it doesn't exist anymore. The money is owed to the people who gave you money that you did not make good on, period. They should be accountable for this stuff. At minimum, their reputation's ruined, but they need to give the money back, period.
The whole situation sucks. It does. It's crap. I'm out $300 basically. So, I mean, I kind of figured it was a gamble. Maas Toys, I didn't really know much about. I know they're kind of a smaller player. I knew there was a chance I probably wasn't going to get my money, and now that they're closed, yeah, it sucks. I think the guy just kind of screwed himself. Like, he's never going to be part of the community again. I don't think he's going to ever be trusted, and I'm probably never going to fund another Kickstarter ever again. It's not worth it. I'm kind of done with the kickstarting.
Sucks that they're going under, and whether they went under due to mismanagement of money, due to the fact that they were mostly crowdfunded to even get new products off the ground, hopefully in the future they could come back somehow. Even if they tried to, the reputation at this point will be kind of in the tanks. Like, how do you come back from utter failure especially when you've got people who have invested in your product. Now you're going to have to basically try to give money back and you don't have any money. But if you have factory problems, if you've got monetary problems, you've really got to get those things under control if you're going to be successful at all in this.
I'm really bummed down that Maas Toys is shutting down. In order to keep prices down and quality high, we need competition in third party. And it's a real shame that they're going away before we even really got to see their attempt at a masterpiece scale with their Seekers. You never know if Maas Toys could have become the next DX9 or the next XTB, which have their flaws in earlier releases, but now are generally loved by everyone. It's a real shame.
Mr. Flibble is very cross. They've been naughty boys, haven't they? And what happens to naughty boys who've been naughty, Mr. Flibble? It's game over.
So I'd like to thank all you guys for contributing. I'd like to present a platform for you guys to have a voice as well. That's something that will remain a constant on Skull Talk for sure. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.